you put the vinyl on, you put the headphones on, and you sample these new records that came out. It was the greatest feeling in the world. Like the greatest feeling in the world. I'm getting all amped up because it was the greatest feeling and time in the world to do that. It was an event. You know what I'm saying? It was like getting laid for the first time. You know what I'm saying? You go out there and you heard, you heard, you know what I'm saying, picking boogers. You know what I'm saying? You heard this and that. I mean, even when I was in that racist ass area that I was in, getting crosses burned in my yard and all that shit, when I could pop on Boogie Boys, you know what I'm saying? That was a time in my life I'll never forget. The Boogie Boys, man, you know what I'm saying? When I heard Run It, I was like, oh shit. You know what I mean? I'll never forget. You know what I'm saying? Going back, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, I'm listening to, you know, hey Godzuki with your red hot breath, as I got punched in the back of my head walking down the hallway. So that will be always in my head. You know what I'm saying? Or yellow panties. You know what I mean? Like different songs that were in your head when you got jumped. I mean, it was just, there's no other time that will ever come out. And when I make my music and other people that I love make their music, we make musics that are timeless classic. So not just now or a year from now, but if you are a music lover and you are especially a hip hop music lover, but even just people that just love music, period. Because 8 to 80, I got people that like my music that even hate rap. You know what I mean? Like the couple songs that I made. One I made for my mom called All I Can Say, which some people call it the mother's anthem. You know what I'm saying? Even some radio personalities, you know what I'm saying, call it the mother's anthem about my mom. And then, you know, I don't know about a lot of what I went through. And that was the first time that people that I know of, that people, and I did it in a comical way, talked about mental health or depression. You know, I talked about, you know, that in I Don't Know, which became, you know, big ups to him, rest in peace, MacMiller. You know what I'm saying? Like, he loved that song the best off my first mixtape because he was like listening to it and he could relate to it.
Jersey, New Jerusalem.
Boxcar Productions, another smash.
My future's bright, nothing but clear skies. Bars low and chain, who's down to fly?
And if you ain't with it, forget it. On to the next now.
Who's down to fly?
Let go.
You know what I'm saying? What song today are you going to play 10, 20 years from now? I mean, we had, you know what I'm saying, as part of the group that we came up with, me and my man Jim Sinner, you know what I'm saying? Like, our song that was 25 years old, 30 years old, the Roots played it on the Tonight Show a couple years ago. I mean, timeless classics is what we're talking about. You know what I mean? You know, and big ups to the Roots, man. Blackthought, I seen him live. One of the best to ever do it. I don't give a rat's ass who's leaving. Who, you know, you want to talk about lists? Whoever's leaving him off their list, they should be shot. Because him and Supernatural, best freestylers I ever heard in my life. In my life. You know what I'm saying? Although that dude harrymack nowadays is kind of hot as far as this, which big ups to harrymack. I want to just say that because it's refreshing to see somebody take an element and run with it. And I don't know how much he does or doesn't know about the culture and who came before him as far as the real freestylers, which again, freestyling, there's different elements of that. Everything's broken down. It's so complex, but they make it so generic so they can, you know, act like they don't know. But like even freestyling, there's freestyling off the top where it's nothing's written down, nothing's memorized, it's just spur of the moment. You know? And then there's freestyle, where you go on and you used to have to give somebody, and people still do it, a written verse exclusively for them, like a thank you for having me on your show. I'm going to bless you with this verse, which will be nowhere else released except with you. And then some people could mix the two. So when they was out there coming off the top of the head, people was convinced it's off the top of the head because he just said those words we threw out at him. But then they could infuse it with the written. So there's different elements, and it's dope and it's complex. And if you really got into giving a shit, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot there to love, you know what I mean? But that's what I'm saying. We make timeless classics. So all of this is what makes me me. You know what I mean? So there you have it. What else we got? I know we probably crossed into the running off the mouth section, but like, go ahead and tell me what else you got for me.
2 hours later.
Wow. Okay. I'm not mad at that answer. Like, you know, not the coming up stuff, but mainly the influence answer. I'm not mad at that. Like, I agree, but I will guarantee you that most of the people out here have not heard that answer on any lists. And as we're gonna do from time to time, we're talking to each other here, but we're gonna look directly at the camera. We're gonna say, big ups to the Crash crew. You know what I'm saying? Salute to them, real life legends, icons, and unfortunately, too many people nowadays, I think you'll agree, are using that word too loosely. You know, legend, icon. Every time somebody passes away, which is tragic, and our heart goes out to the families and friends, but every single person that has rapped, in our opinion, and I think a lot of people agree with us, are not legends and they're not icons. I mean, you know what I'm saying? But let's skim over that for the sake of time. Everybody out there that have passed away, truly from the bottom of our hearts, rest in power. But since this is a show for and about hip-hop for the people, the true legends and icons that are out there, thank you from the bottom of my hearts, from the bottom of our hearts, I should say, for your contribution, your influence, and rest in power to all those that have passed away. And I suggest that if you don't know, nowadays with technology, Google it. Find out about the culture. But anyway, we're going to skim ahead. We're going to get into running off at the mouth, which is the uninterrupted segment where you just ramble off. You know what I'm saying? Just run off at the mouth like it says. You know, anything you want to talk about, the floor is yours. Yeah, I apologize, man. You know what I'm saying? So, just to recap real quick, I know you want to get into this section. I'm hearing all those questions you're throwing at me. Again, I'm going to follow along with what you just said right here, but I just want to say I apologize, but when it comes to hip-hop, that lets you know how I feel. So I had to kind of cover some of those feelings. But, so I decided, for all intents and purposes, around 12 years old, I'm going to be a rapper. I went through the things that we talked about. And when I moved back from North Carolina, went to college, met my man, which I left out on that section, you know what I'm saying? Met my man Jim Center, because the Black Student Union and the EOF used to do a lot of stuff together. So I met my man, we just formed a group. The group was called Two Weary Travelers. At the time, we fell into the biggest studio pretty much on the Eastern Seaboard, because it was in Mix Magazine, it was in Studio Magazine, it was all these magazines. And they liked us. They saw it as a gimmick. A white dude with long dreadlocks and a black dude, you know what I'm saying? But we liked it because we saw nothing but celebrities coming through there. And the only thing is that we had to record when they said to record. You know what I mean? So they had all their big acts coming in there. And I'm talking about like Sherman Hemsley from the Jeffersons. We saw McFadden Whitehead. one of the others, either the Whitehead or the McFadden was in there recording his record. I think Patti LaBelle's people did stuff in there. Cher's people did stuff in there. I know the rock group Skid Row. Big up to Skid Row, man. That dude at the time had some chronic, like, I believe it was the drummer. And thanks for that burger, man. You know what I mean? But anyway, so we was in there and we met all these celebrities, and as time went on, me and my man became closer and closer and closer. And like I said before, which again, we was going over the story and it wasn't recording, but that's why I say, like, no matter how much time goes through, as far as what me speaking on it, and this goes for any of my friends or any of my family, life happens. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, for many reasons, both friends and some family and whatever, sometimes you don't get to see people because of life for years. But when you see them again, you can pick up right where you left off, and my feelings don't change. My feelings for my man Sinner, today is the same as it was ever. You know what I mean? And he should know, like, because when we were coming up, we went through a lot of the same things. You know what I'm saying? As far as that goes, I mean, you talk about things to overcome. You know what I mean? Like, he had to overcome, you know what I'm saying? His mom died. Then he was put in the care of his grandmother, who his grandfather passed. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace to Mr. and Mrs. Logan, his grandparents. You know what I'm saying? His grandmother passed away. By that time, he was an adult, but he was on his own. You know what I'm saying? And I felt that because I lost my grandmother. I lost my aunt. Not in that order. Lost my aunt, lost my grandmother. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of get it, And then he lost me. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know, you have to ask him if you get him on this show. But he should know, and I'll say this, to everybody. I loved him like a brother, like literally, you used to say, my brother from another mother. Like, there's nothing I wouldn't do for him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, even through the absences and whatever. And I know there's hard feelings because, A, he lost a lot of his family, but then he lost me. Like, I kind of just dropped off because I had, you know what I'm saying? At this point, you know what I'm saying? My girlfriend at the time, when I was in college, got pregnant. And then we decided to have a daughter. And then when everything's coming together with the music thing, you know what I'm saying? I bounced, and ironically enough, we went back to North Carolina because it was the only place that we could live, and that's the place that I learned, don't ever just take a handshake, get everything in writing. With we all make our mistakes even after learning that. But like, we went down there, renovated a house, and lived down there because it was where we could live. You know what I'm saying? For $200 a month. You know what I mean? Like, we put all our wedding money into this house, renovating it, making it top notch with the stereo, and I had my daughter, and like, I did everything for my daughter. You know what I'm saying? You talk about love and what makes you you, man. When my daughter was born, I knew what I was put on this planet to do. Now, I'm not a perfect dude by any stretch of the imagination. Every parent says, I got flaws. But if my kids ever said that I didn't live my whole life for them, that's just beyond crazy. Even my first daughter, Shanae, I did everything for her. Like, I pumped the breast milk. I fed her the breast milk. Like, in the middle of the night, I did the diapers. I did the baths. I did the feeding. We sat there and watched TV. Like, we did everything together. You know what I'm saying? Like, I did everything for her. And then when my second daughter came along, Michaela, like, it was me and her. Like, I took care of them, and I was still collecting some unemployment, but I was Mr. Mom. You know what I mean? So for school, I had 2 more kids, and unfortunately that marriage fell apart. And we learn now, you know what I'm saying, mental illness is a real thing, you know what I'm saying? But back then you don't know that either. So long story short, I got custody of my 4 kids. So, you know what I'm saying, that put a lot of different deals on the back burner, you know what I mean? And so that hurt my man's feelings, because now, not only did he sign contracts that were hinky and shady as fuck for me, you know what I'm saying? Now he felt like I bailed on him. You know what I mean? Like, look, man, you got me into this bullshit, and then you bailed. To the point where the one contract was so bad, we refused to record another note.